Yay. There she is. It's so funny. Just as I was about to let you in, Spring Valley High School was calling and leaving a message. I was like, shut up. I gotta let you in. Welcome to my podcast, Changed for the Better, the Power of Arts in Education.
I'm Stacey Tiro, a high school performing arts teacher for over 25 years. I've taught a lot of amazing people. Now that so many of my students are adults, they'll teach me how, through the lessons in my classroom, they have been changed for the better.
Okay, so I have a powerhouse songstress on my podcast today. This woman is destined for really, really big things, and she's making it all happen. So before she introduces who she is, I'm going to give just a little bit of background. So I had this woman, then adolescent, for 4 years in my studio. She was mostly active in thespians, and she was in the Wiz as an ensemble member. And then I realized, oh, no. We have things that this woman really needs to do. So she quickly graduated to big gun roles as Vanessa and In the Heights, Anita in West Side Story, and then, of course, the title role in AIDA, where she literally made the walls melt and the people in the audience just rise to their feet every single night. A powerhouse songstress. She's now a gifted and prolific composer with a growing list of music in the R&B soul genre, like So Deep, which is now well over 1 million streams. Who does that? And now her newest release, just released yesterday. Well, yesterday, as of this interview, April 7th, called Bad Decisions, which I just purchased off of iTunes. She is also known as the Chime Girl in a national TV spot, commercial spot. And in December, and this is probably one of the most impressive and exciting things, she was invited to perform at the Women's Songwriters Hall of Fame in Washington, D.C., where she was acknowledged by Dee Dee Sharp and Cynthia Biggs. She is literally making her dreams come true. And she is also, if I might say, paving the way for young Black girls to do the same. I've known about this inordinate talent for many, many, many years, and I was really hoping that she would be able to cash in on that someday. And now the world is starting to learn who she is. So I'm going to shut up now, and I am going to ask you the first question of the afternoon, which is, what is your name, the year you graduated, and what else do you do now?
I think my cheeks hurt from me just smiling. That was a wonderful introduction. Wow, my cheeks are sore. Can't stop smiling. Wow. Yes, so my name is Brianna Knight. I graduated from Spring Valley High School in 2016. Wow, feels like yesterday. And I am currently a professional singer, songwriter, and now a moving actress. Yeah.
Pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing considering, I think you went to, was it New Paltz?
Yeah,
you graduated from New Paltz, and I know that you were looking to do an education degree. Did you actually finish that degree?
Yes.
Yeah. So she went off, she was going to be an elementary school teacher, a music teacher, whatever. And I was like, oh, well, that's nice. She'll sing to the kids. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I get it. She wants to have her security and her safety. And I get it. And then when you started actually like recording your music and in your bedroom and mixing it and producing it, and now it seems to have like absolutely moved forward exponentially. And I'm just sitting here like, yay, yay. Brianna's going to be singing for the world. Yay. So I'm just so proud, as you could probably tell, and excited that she's pursuing the thing that I was always hoping that she would be pursuing, which is her music. And she has a lot to say. And somewhere in this video and in the blog post, I'm going to like put all of the information in there for people to like find you who haven't already found you. So I'll do my part. Don't worry about that. Okay, so we're now just going to focus on this podcast focuses on your high school experience, and then how, as you've transitioned into an adult, because you're an adult now, how those two things intersect, basically. So question 2 is, using your adult brain, describe your adolescent self.
Ooh. Wow.
I get that a lot, by the way.
Definitely motivated, 100%. Definitely multitasker by the fullest. And I'll have to say unsure. Unsure.
What do you think you were unsure about?
Me, I feel like, coming from my family, we're planners. We're planners and we're doers. So when you say something, you're going to do it. And it felt like every year, it's funny, other kids would be like, yeah, I'm just going to go outside and hang out with my friends. I'm like, yeah, like I have to go like prep for these SATs that are coming up in like the next 3 years and try to figure out like what my career is going to be by tomorrow.
Right.
It felt like, I guess, trying to figure out who I was in addition to those things I was good at, and in addition to those things that people told me I was or who I was going to be. So I say unsure, because definitely trying to figure out what I wanted. And it's funny that you spoke about that, the whole elementary school teacher and everything, because half of it was me and then half of it was everything else in the world that was like, I think that's what I'm supposed to do. And surely enough, the universe said, I got other plans, and it's fine.
And thankfully, listen to the universe, because not everybody listens when the doors start knocking. Yeah. So kind of going back to your experience in the studio and in rehearsals and classes and all that, tell me something that happened in the dance studio. And it doesn't have to be a singular event. It can be like just a generalized experience that helped you to manage or to regulate your adolescent self.
Well, it was funny. Every time, except for AIDA, the 2 times you put me in a major role, you'd have me dancing. And I used to be so mad. I'd be like, I'm so excited to do things. I'm so excited to work with Hero, but I'm so mad she's making me dance. And shout out to Denisha and Alexis Key. They would both just be laughing at me like, it's fine. You're going to be fine. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know I have 2 left feet. And it was being in the studio and having to trust my body. That was the first step in me actually. When I said I wasn't sure, that was the first step in me figuring out something I was sure about. First off, being a teenager, you don't know what's going on every day. Hormones, you just, every day you're learning something new. So at least within trying to dance and trying to explore something that I wasn't normally good at, it wasn't something that I practiced, it made me truly have to figure out how much do I know about me, and then testing my limits. Because I remember a couple times I'm like, guys, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, Edwidge, just pull me somewhere. Tell me where I have to go. Like, please, somebody. And it was funny because even then I had to learn to trust people other than myself and
Mm.
being very, very transparent. Because there were a couple times in that studio, we would touch some heavy, some deep topics that were
Yeah.
really triggering, things that I hadn't just figured out prior. And it was crazy the way that I'll never forget. It was a scene with Anita. She's supposed to be in the parlor and she's seeing all all of the jets, I think. And I was so overwhelmed when we first did it. And you
Mhm.
stopped me, you looked at me, and you were like, we could make this where you still have power. Like, you don't have to be powerless. You're going to look like it, but you're not. Like, everything that we do is in your hands. It was the first time I'd ever felt like, wow, like I'm actually in control of something. Like, life doesn't always have to feel like you're doing Russian roulette with something. Like, you can actually be in control of how the scene is going to work.
Right.
That was so empowering. And again, especially going through like just the stuff that I've been through in my life, just the extra traumas. And again, not really having that sort of control over what I want. It was in that moment. You said, for this, you being knocked around, you could decide who you're getting knocked into. In fact, you could go talk to them on the side and let them know what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. That was the best thing ever. Really encouraging, empowering. And I was like, wow, maybe you can have a little bit of control, just a
Yeah.
smidge.
I think that is an arts teacher and I think a choreographer specifically, because with dance things and dance that have like really intense, almost sort of traumatic interpretation effects.
Mhm.
And in that show, there's a lot of fight scenes and I was like, everything has to be in control or somebody's getting very hurt. And I know that I wanted to make sure that you knew that you were safe because we were going to protect you and you could do all the acting you wanted to do and make it seem as traumatic as possible, but that you, Brianna, were good, that you could walk away from that going, okay, so good. I'm glad that you felt that way. Yay. Okay. Ooh, that was a good one. Okay. So now, looking at Brianna now, how have you changed since you graduated high school?
Whew. Well, the obvious, the career paths. Well, technically, still an educator at heart. I feel like, but I've always been that way throughout high school. I can tell you from top to bottom what club is going on, what time, what building, what teacher is hosting it, what times they usually meet, who's there, when. I still do that as an adult now. I'm constantly passing resources, constantly giving references and referrals, whether it's to other musicians. Sometimes I do have to tap into my teacher and help people with like whether it's because a lot of people have been homeschooling, so giving them certain like resources and teaching plans and books, literally helping out one of my friends, like telling her from top to bottom the benefits of reading for each like different grade level, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So still being able to tap into my teacher for crossing it over into something that I love. And that kind of, when I was in high school, everything felt very black or white. It was very binary, the way of living. I remember you, I think it was you, I think it was Miss Bond. A lot of people were just like, life doesn't have to be so like one thing. And I
Mhm.
remember my senior year, God bless this Gottlieb, I would walk into every classroom and be like, what were you before you were a teacher? And some people are like, I worked on Wall Street. Yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom. And people are like, yeah, I was a professional dancer. Like, I was actually an accountant. And it was crazy because at first you're like, wait, you could do multiple things. And as an adult, yeah, I feel completely different. Like, I feel like even then, another thing is I come from a family of planners, but I only plan to an extent as an adult because, as we can see, life, everything is just, you can plan all you want. Some things are just, they throw you left field and you just kind of have to wing it, especially that winging it process. Even then with music, it was crazy because it's coming out of your brain. And I remember in high school, the first time I showed anybody I could play guitar was actually, I think, for the induction into Thespians. That was the first time that I showed anybody that I could actually,
Oh,
yeah, that was the first time I showed anybody that I could play guitar.
people reveal
And
things when they're ready to reveal them.
yes, and even that, just learning it takes time. I remember auditioning for The Wiz.
Mm.
I was sick. I was like, oh my God, I'm sick. How am I supposed to? This is my first high school audition. It's supposed to be really big. Oh my God, oh my God. And it was like ensemble. I'm like, okay, at least we got something. We got something. That's good. That's good. And I remember she was like, Brianna. I'm like, oh God, she picked me. Say 9-foot dragon. And I remember during rehearsal said, okay, Brianna, bring it back one more time. Can you say it louder this time? Make it bigger. And I remember being like, oh my God, you just have one line, Brianna. Come on, you got to do it. This is it. This is your time to shine. And then realizing that literally it took a process. I remember first coming into high school being like, listen, girl, you're going to go for that main role. Now being an adult, no, it's a process. Give yourself the grace, give yourself the patience, give yourself the time and the space. Are you kidding me? In high school, you feel like you have to be so perfect. And then once you're in college and you're an adult, you're like, everybody's just winging it. Some people just made it look like they weren't winging it, but everybody was winging it.
100%.
Yeah, just realizing that sometimes you're winging every step of the way. And it just so happens it kind of works. Like it's almost organized chaos, like that you brought that up about when we did West Side Story. Organized chaos. That's what life is. But it doesn't have to be. The word chaos has so many negative connotations. It doesn't have to be that. Sometimes chaos can be kind of fun because you're learning while you're in the middle of the chaos. It's like you truly get to everything that you learned from a book, everything that you've heard, everything that you've processed, you're actually getting to apply it in the storm. And I feel like that is the best test of character. And it truly shows your growth as an individual. So organized chaos 100%, and just being confident in knowing that if you were able to do it before, you could do it again. And it's weird when you're young, you don't believe that because you only been on the earth for how many years? And as an adult, I'm like, nah, you got it.
Yeah. I like you're saying this and my brain is racing because I feel like, especially as I've gotten older, like early in my career, everything was like to the letter written out, like every step, everything. I think I told this to, I think maybe it was Denisha. Everything was written out. And to be fair, West Side Story was completely written out because it wasn't my choreography. I was interpreting Jerome Robbins. So I was like, I had to spend hours at the computer and write all this down. Right. But other than that, my last 10 years or so has been a lot of that trusting what I know and trusting what I have and knowing that the creative process is in the moment thing. So like you have your structure that you know where you want to go, but how you get there is not necessarily predetermined.
Yeah.
And that I just think that that's a beautiful part of the creative process is like taking the breath in that organized chaos and going, what are we going to create? What are we going to carve out here? And then knowing we see it and we can edit and we can make changes and mold. I mean, as a songwriter, that's got to be the process.
Yes, I was gonna say, like, giving yourself that time and that space is so important because one day you could be like, oh my God, this idea is terrible. You close the book, you put it away, you come back 2 days later, you're like, actually, I could build off of that. And remembering that as a creative, nothing is permanent. I feel like anybody that puts out a piece of art can literally give you critiques about what they could have done better. But at that point, sometimes you just have to let it go. You have to release it and just let it be what it's going to be for the pack. I feel like as creatives, we are so nitpicky. We are nitpicky at everything that we do. And it makes us great. It makes us where we are constantly being challenged and we are constantly striving to be better. But sometimes we just have to put it out in the world and leave it where it's at.
You know, that's like the end of show process where like you're like picking out, like we just closed Charlie Brown on Saturday, and you know, it's like fix this, and then finally like I have to sit back and go, I'm done. Whatever it is, I'm done. I can't do anymore. It's theirs now. And I always give the show to the kids. It's like, this is your baby now. I'm done. And then I'll watch it, you know, from the back, from afar, and going, Yeah, I didn't see that. I probably could have done something about that. And I'm like, stop, because it's done. It's over. And your next show, you'll see what you can see and miss what you're going to miss, and then move on and do the next thing. It's just this constant rollover of projects.
Yes, yes. Especially we would talk about it. Denisha and I would talk about these things actually, like after the shows. We'd be like, dang, I know Terrell just really had to let go. Because I feel like, especially when you're like, okay, you guys got it. I've given you the tools. It's like you're just like, I know you're gonna make me proud. I know you will. I know you will. If anything, I just want to see how you do it. It's never about when everybody's gonna do it. It's just about how they do it. Because each and every time we would all talk about it. Each and every time the nights would be different. Something would be different with the delivery, with even the choreography. You'd be like, wow, they were really passionate tonight. Oh my goodness. Especially that last night, it's always the last night. Everybody pops out these crazy ideas that you're like, you never did that over these last 3 months. Where was it?
It's true. It just happened on Saturday too. I was like, where did this why didn't this come out? Yeah. 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 It's very nice to talk to you. Okay. So I think we got off on like 5 different tangents, but I'm okay with that because this is a good conversation. Okay. So let's bring this back. What would your adult self tell your high school self now to help ease the way?
Whew. Wow. Um, Pick up that guitar more often. Actually trust in your playing. It took me my senior year, second to last semester, took a course with a guitar teacher. He said, why are you in this? You need to be already in guitar 1, guitar 2. I was like, this entire time I've been teaching myself. And I was like, oh, okay. No, like do it and be bold. Please enjoy things. Please enjoy the process and enjoy the things outside of your productivity. One thing I did when I was in college is I made sure to not tell anybody I sang because I didn't just want to be singer Bree. I wanted to be Bree. And it was crazy because it felt so good. So that when I actually opened my mouth, they were like, oh my God, wow, that's you, right? Like already I was like, oh wow, you like me as a person. That's cool. That's cool. Sometimes in high school it would be like, I love being known as a singer, but I kind of like want y'all to know me. Like I don't want the only thing that you talk to me about is how you're so excited about my music. Because at some point I felt like that was all I had to offer. And so when I got to college, it was like, no, you could do way more. There's so many things. It's just that you decided to work with this gift. It's not a thing of that's the only thing that you got. It's that you decided, almost taking back that control. So definitely just exploring more and enjoying the process. Homework's gonna be there. Do your homework, but also, girly, have fun. Go laugh, go outside, enjoy the sun. I feel like all AP kids, when we talk about anxiety, that is the first test. And I feel like because we're so hard on ourselves, we're like, this is what we have to do, and we have to do it at this rate. No, no, there could be so much balance. It was funny talking to people in college, and they'd be like, yeah, I didn't take an AP class. Like, really? They're like, no, no. You took an honors course? No. Did you study? No. I got by. And you would be like, are we saying that I stressed myself out? Well, okay. And we're all like, even graduating, it's funny. You could do 5 million internships. We're all sitting there looking at each other like, so we're going to clock into this bar together? Yeah. We're all at the same, we're all at the same point, right? Yeah. Like, oh, all right, okay. Just making sure that value the good things in addition to your productivity, because that's not only the thing that you have to contribute and so many things. And I guess the last thing is take up space. Take up space. I remember every time we get in that studio, boop, really big, take up space. Bring it right back, super duper small. Everybody be like, oh my God, Brianna, you're so humble, so nice.
You know who said that, by the way?
What?
Who else said that in her interview? Take up space. Tanisha.
Yeah.
That was like one of her big things. That was one of her big things. Take up space. You belong it. You belong there. You deserve it. Take your space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't second guess. Like, you're there because you're supposed to be there. If somebody referred you to something, it's because you got the chops, you got the ethic, you got the resume. People may not know you, but baby, you got the resume to somebody. So you deserve to be in that room. You deserve to be doing what you do. It's not like some people like to say it was luck. No, it wasn't. You've been planting seeds for so long. It's just finally they're sprouting. You watered them. Now you're finally seeing what you sowed. You're seeing the garden in full effect. Take up space. I think a lot of the time when I'm talking to people, especially because my thing is just talking to young Black women, I feel like they're so scared to take up space because somebody, whether it was a family member, it could be a teacher, it could be somebody down the block. It was one moment where somebody said, "You're doing too much. You're taking up too much space." As an adult, take up all the space. With my own niece, take up the space. It's so funny. So we love her so much. She has such, she can talk. And we're like, can you please watch the way that you're talking to people? But in the back of our heads, we're like, yes, take up that space.
We'll serve you. By the way, I need to take a moment. I have to just pause for a second. And how excited are we about Ketanji Brown Jackson? Like, new Supreme Court Justice.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to get into that, but take up space.
Take up space. All the space. All the space. And in fact, don't worry about if other people get the spotlight. Because if you've taken up just the right amount of space, everybody gets a chance to shine. That's another thing too. Don't dim your light so that everybody, if everybody's ready to go, I promise you they're going to hop on the train and they're going to be right there with you because that's where they're supposed to be. Take up the space.
Well, and and that's where the three shows that you played the big guns in, I feel like those were my strongest three shows, I think, of my career. It was like bang, bang, bang. And, you just happen to be in all of them. But there was something about those productions where everybody just like swelled and took up their space and they gave everything, like everything that they had from day one, they pushed into, and it was it the people, maybe was it the material, maybe all those things, sure. But there was an energy in that room and in that theater where all these people who some of them had no business doing these shows, like zero business. My Jets and my Sharks were like the tennis players,
Yeah.
And it was just the right blend of the right personalities and people and desires to like make that magic happen. I can't explain it. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it. And that I can go back to those in my Facebook feed. I see those rehearsals, and for AIDA, I see that Board of Education, performance that we did, that like I just tears just every time I see it. I just want to like be up there like dancing and singing with you and going, so something very swelling and special about that, and take up space.
Powerful. It was every time it was powerful. And again, people that took up space, but like I said, they never dimmed it. It was never, in fact, it was almost to the point we taking up space. Everybody else has to match our energy. That was the thing with Denisha and I, like, no, you're not going to do that. Because it's not, it was really, I think what made the cast so beautiful is that if somebody missed a step, if somebody did something, you were only as strong as that person. So if that person is messing up, you'd be like, hey, like, okay, let me break it down to you, show you the thing, or let me try to help you out. It was never somebody trying to outdo or outshine. Never. If somebody did something crazy backstage, we were all yelling at the top of our lungs. Luckily, everybody's clapping and talking because we were like, are you kidding me? Why would you do that? regulating each other, because we knew what we are a cast. It's not just one person, it's everybody, the supports, the leads, the ensemble. You are only as good as your ensemble, truly everything. Even hearing Mr. Perez scream and shout, but it was so that everybody, like, we're all on the same level. There is nobody who's better at this, better at that, none of that. We all took up space, and we took up space as a unit, and that's 100% important to any craft, really. I feel like for somebody to say they did it all by themselves, you're lying. It took a village. It takes a community. 100%.
100%. And speaking of Perez, you're still on his lips, like to this day. We were just talking, it was during, I don't know, Hell Week or whatever, and he was telling the cast or the company, like, and Brianna Knight, who was probably the greatest talent that ever graced Spring Valley High School. And I'm like, yeah, he's right. Yeah. What he said, that's true. So he's still doing his thing. It'll be forever.
Oh my, I know that for a fact. It's I feel so bad because the kids are probably like, who is that? Who is this ancient person? I know I used to feel that way. When y'all would talk about people, we were like,
Who that?
who is that? Unless they showed their face, we were like, oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, now hopefully they'll see it. They'll see the person, and yeah. That's the girl. That's the one that Perez, and I agree. It was probably the greatest talent, the greatest singer to grace Spring Valley stage right there. So there you go.
Beautiful. Oh, good. I feel so bad for those kids.
No. Listen, hey, somebody wants to come forward and challenge that. Go right ahead. I'll put you in the lead too. Okay. So, here's the next one. What is something that you are grappling with now?
Trying to figure out the best way to put it. What's one thing you're going to focus on? When you bring a lot to the table, and when you're interested in a lot of things, it's funny because my mentors from my internship said that, like, you have a lot. I'm like, yeah. I asked it on Instagram. I said, would you rather be a jack of all trades or a master of one? And it was interesting because a lot of people were like, jack of all trades. And then my reply was like, but how do you focus on one at a time? Like, how do you can only get so far when you're juggling so many things. So as of recently, especially with music and figuring out where I want to go, one thing has been like, what do you want to focus on? Because there's so many things that I love to do, so many things I like to sing. I literally went to an open mic and this girl was singing musical theater songs, and I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I miss it. Yeah, I love that. Keep going. Just making sure that I'm staying true to what I need in the moment and giving it focus. Sometimes I feel like there's so many things going on. Like I said, you bring so much to the table and you don't know where to go. It's funny. In high school, I used to be like, okay, I'm going to learn how to play 10 instruments, and I want to learn how to do whistle notes and belts. I'm going to do all these different things, and I'm going to do it by December. And it'd be like, it's only about 4 months that you just gave yourself. So now you're giving yourself, you're giving yourself like 5 minutes each day. And at that point, how far are you getting versus if you just honed in on one and you kept making strides? So it's one thing. And it's a lot because it's different for everybody. I talk to different mentors. They tell me different things. It also goes with songs too. Like, I remember showing a song I just released, some people being like, you sure you don't want to like pick up your guitar? Like, you don't want to give something new? And I was like, interesting. Even so deep, I had so many doubters. Like, I was like, oh man, I was like, dang, you really, yes. And that's the one thing that I've learned to just grapple with, right? Just deal with. Oh yeah, there's going to be people that tell you something, but that's why I'm saying, what do you want to focus on? What do you need? Not what other people need, what do you need? Because I guarantee you what you need, somebody else needs. It's crazy. I'm seeing it on like TikTok now. I'll post like my therapist, I talked with her and I was telling her how I'm trying to do affirmations every day. And she was like, why don't you like write them out? Why don't you like share them with people? Like, sometimes I could help. So I was like, all right, I'm going to post my face saying these affirmations for other people. This thing that I'm like, I know I need it, so I'm going to do it. we have like 50,000 views on these videos of me just saying a really nice affirmation. And I'm like, okay. Even the other day, I finally pushed myself to get out. I've been so focused on recording music. I've been like a little hermit crab, and I
Sure.
pushed myself to go out. And especially, I have a problem just going out by myself. I don't like it. It feels uncomfortable. It makes me super duper anxious. Like it is such a, a stressor for me. But I was like, you know what? I'm going. We're gonna put on our big girl pants. We're
That's
gonna put on
right.
our makeup. We're gonna go grab a drink.
I'm an adult. I'm gonna adult it.
And it was crazy because I posted on TikTok. I was like, point of view, imagine like you finally like you beat the social anxiety. You went out and you did it all by yourself. I'm
Mm,
sitting here getting like 300 encouraging comments, just like, wow, like I can't wait to get there. So again, doing what you need to do,
yeah.
indulging in something for yourself. Like you don't have to be a martyr for everybody else. And a lot of the time I felt like that. Like if anybody was gonna fall, let it be me. If anybody's gonna get hit, let it be me. If anybody's gonna take these nasty words, let it be me. I don't want it to be anybody else.
Mm,
Now, sometimes it's okay for you to choose what you need to do and focus on that one. You don't need to focus on the five, focus on the one thing that you need because that's what you kind of need to do. Sometimes I feel cornered into it though.
mm, mm.
I feel like the pandemic definitely cornered me into working on my mental health 100%. I am such a pusher since high school, a pusher. Coming 3 hours of sleep, Edward and I are sitting here drinking like 3 coffees throughout the day. Mind you, we're only 15, 16 years old. Our brains are still developing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and even in college, and it was at a point like during the pandemic where I was just home by myself. My mom was in Virginia, and I'm like, I'm all alone here with my brain, and this kind of sucks. I'm
Not a
like,
good thing.
yeah, no, there's no like, yeah, there's a performance tomorrow. No, like you are by yourself. So what do you need to focus on? That became the one thing. There was no, oh, we're gonna pick up and practice. None of that.
Mm,
That was the one thing I indulged in, the best thing I've ever done in my life. Like there's a lot of great things I've done. The best thing I did was focus on me and my brain and how to get that right. Because again, when you focus on the one thing that you need, everything else will flow.
mm,
Everything else will come. Because it's like, as if you there's a difference between you needing something and you wanting something. You wanting something will not disrupt your mind and your body. Something you need definitely will disrupt you 100%. Like it'll
yeah.
disrupt your day. That includes
And when your needs get met, you are so much more accessible for everything else. Yeah.
yes, 100. It's like even, I don't know if you ever get this, it's like an itch. You'll be writing out something, you're like, okay, I know that I want the notes to go like that. I know that I want this song to be performed like this. And you're like, it's not that, no. And you have to keep going and going because you know that throughout the day, you're going to be thinking about that one itch. It's no longer a want to creatively get that done, it's a need. And you know, if you don't get it done,
Mhm.
the rest of the week is going to go sour. It's going to go bad.
Because
And
it's
I
just
feel
going to
like,
be like sitting there, just like a mouse in a wheel. It's just going to keep going.
yeah, I've been approaching like take care of what you need to do, focus on that one with everything possible from like just awareness, self awareness, from taking care of my body, my mind, to how I approach my music, to how I approach just even talking to family members. You can have a conversation with 5 people in a room, but also it helps if you just sit down and go talk to everybody one on one.
Mhm.
That helps too, because you might
Oh,
need to do that.
I hate being in a room full of people. I'd much rather do this. I mean, in person, of course, but I'd much rather do this than like try and navigate a conversation with a
Yes.
room full of people.
It's overwhelming and you can only get so far because like I said, everybody wants to say something, so
Mhm.
you can only get to know people so much within the time that you have versus when you're sitting one on one like this, you can peel back so many layers and get to talk to people.
Mhm.
Okay, focusing on that one, it's great to be a multitasker by all means, but it's wonderful when you can sit and you can focus on one thing at a time because you can give your all instead of giving 75%. Wouldn't you rather give your all more than 75, 50?
Agreed. Agreed. Ah, mm, you're so wise. So wise. It's so nice. Okay. So let's move forward. I think this is question 7. Tell me one thing that you miss about your high school self and one thing that has gotten better.
The discipline to sit down and be like, this is what I'm doing. There are so many times I've been like, yeah, no, it's not happening today. it's,
Interesting.
it's it's not happening. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes with life, you wing it. But that Brianna, oh no, every day I was going to get that warm up in. My mom would be so mad at me. I'd be washing dishes. It'd be about 11 p.m. She's like, can you please shut up? Can you please? That's why I have such a strong falsetto. Everybody's like, wow, your head voice is so strong. That's because of that. I had to be quiet and wash those dishes, but I had to get something done. I remember every time somebody would leak what the musical was going to be, it was so funny. They'd be like, we think that Tiro's going to do this. We think that. Oh, that'd be research, baby. That'd be 3 hours a day of me looking at these people. It was like, it's crazy. I didn't understand the thing of method acting, but for musicals, that's what I was. I'd be like, this is what the character did. Let's research that town. Let's research that city. Oh, that's the time period. Let's research that. Oh, that's the actress who did it. Let's research them. What have they done in the past? What was their methods? Look at the interviews. Go see how many things you could watch from this musical. All right, we're gonna see how many like different snippets. Listen to the cast rendition. Listen to the lot. It'd be so much of every day. We were going to dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper.
God.
These days, that discipline, maybe it's an hour. It's not 2 hours.
We're gonna get the crib notes.
I literally had an acting class. It was funny. It was the last class. This is the one I did the least amount of effort in because I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm trying to take this instructor's recommendations. He's switching it up. I'm putting in so much work. You know what? No more. We're gonna do the minimum. The minimum was the best thing I ever did. It was like, wow, I love this side of you. And I was like, wow, all right. Okay.
Wow.
Really,
Well, I mean, if you think about it, and it's great to do your research, but what is the stuff that you really need to know? Because the performances, they're limited to like the script and right. So you have you know what needs to come out. So yes, you want to support it with some background and make it rich and all that's true. But sometimes there's overkill. Sometimes you got to go, okay, like good. We got it. Now pour your heart into it. It's about this. It's about this.
Yeah, like that, Brianna, she was so much fun because I felt at those times I was the best at Kahoot. You couldn't tell me anything. I was a library of information for whatever I had to do. Now I'm like, I can give you the bare minimum. I can give you a reference, like you want a website to look at, like what to do. I can do that. One thing I've gotten better at, I have to say, a bit more relaxed. Bit more relaxed. Like I said, trying to do everything. You want to be everybody, but trying to figure out yourself. None of that. We go with the flow over here. Sometimes sometimes the diva does pop out when I'm like, this release is happening today. We need to get some content. We need to get stuff. But other than that, totally free flow. We will figure it out when we figure it out. I've had so many times with friends, we started out crying, like, oh my God, we were supposed to do that thing. And then just laughing and being like, what are we gonna do now? It's funny. So my father, he's a speed racer on the road when he's late. Me and my siblings are like, we don't do that because you know why? You're gonna be late. You're gonna be late. It is what it is. And truly living by that in everything, it is what it is. It's kind of like I try to let my actions reflect where I'm at. So if I'm running late that morning, I'm taking my time. If somebody's like, you don't even look like you want to be here. Well, that morning, I should have thought to myself, well, it seems like I don't want to be here because the way that I just acted seems like I don't. And I try to let that also be a thing of self-awareness. Some people are like, how do you know how you're feeling? And that's it. Look right down to a T what you did throughout that day. I'm guaranteeing you could see what your actual personality is, the things that you actually enjoy, the things that you don't like. And if you really enjoy the things that you were showing up to, you could tell by the things that you were doing before you had to be there and what you were doing while you were there. I 100% let that be a thing. Like free flow is a great way of analyzing who you are every day. If it's not, there's a better word for it. It's somewhere in the umbrella of self-awareness and meditation, but It's just truly being.
Mindfulness. It's
There we go.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, that's 100% free flow is mindfulness. It's literally listening to. I love my therapist. She was like, I have body cues. I'm one of those people where I don't dance, but I need to get out something physically, whether it's a walk or like stretching, something. And those are my cues of, is today going to be a weird day? Is it going to be a good day? Do we like what we're doing here? Do we not? And making it free flow, it allows you to truly see what's going on with yourself. So yeah, I think I love that. It's very, I feel like my stress levels have decreased 100%. It's
Do
nice.
you apply that to your music, to like the creation of music and that process?
Oh, I wish. I feel like I'm a madman. It's so funny. I feel I would. So I talk with my family and friends in college. I'm like, so you didn't have like a crazy orchestra teacher, music teachers, choreographers, none of that, where they would just be like, poof, you gotta do this. They were like, no, we never had that. I was like, oh, I'm like, And then I'll talk to other singers and musicians. I'll be like, yeah, no, I go crazy. Like when it's time to do something, yeah, you just completely, it's free flow, but also you're like, no, this needs to get done. Like I said, that itch, it's a certain itch that you just cannot scratch with anything else. And when it's finally done, I feel that way about really good vocal arrangements. It's like somebody just hugged you. You just had the best meal of your life. You're on the beach and like your toes are in the sand, and that's how it feels. So it's almost like that itch, that chaos. There's only so much free flow you could do. Because
Well,
you
because you're
know,
trying to create the structure.
yes, and especially the structure always changes. I've also learned that the best things are spontaneous. But I love saying this. So the songwriter for "If I Were a Boy" by Beyonce, she was writing. First off, she barely wrote for anybody else. Like that was the thing that she admitted. She would just usually write for herself. She wrote maybe 11 songs with this other songwriter. I can't remember his name. And they were on a break, Times Square, from writing that day. And she sees him. He's about to eat a hot dog or something. And she's like, wow, I wish I could do that. Man, if I were a boy, I'd do so many things. He was like, wait, bring that back. Can you say that again? Instantly that break was cut short and they made that song, which is a hit that everybody knows. Sometimes the creative process is just like that. You can say, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna work on this every day, and I'm gonna pop out these songs, and it doesn't work like that. Sometimes inspiration, creativity, I've had so many times I've literally been cooking in the kitchen. I said, hold on, let me turn off the stove. let me write down this idea. It just happens. Again, I feel like creatives are also the most chaotic brains, but it's organized. They're organized. Their chaos is organized, but I like it. It's fun.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times. I mean, and I'm sure you saw it, but and it still happens where I go, you do this, do that, and because it's like it's forming in the moment, and you got to get it out with, and the people are right there. So here, do this. Don't ask questions. Just here, do this, do this, do this. Go, and then something happens, and hopefully it's good. Hopefully somebody thinks it's good, and usually they're like, everybody gets very excited about it. I'm like, okay, and so that has become like the tool that I use probably the most. Is just kind of like getting in there, listening to the thing, and going, okay, here we go, make it. So yeah. Okay, so you have dropped a lot of wisdom in this conversation, so I want you to try and now distill it. So if you could give a piece of sage advice to high school students now, what would it be?
Ooh, trust your gut. Think for yourself, not anybody else. What do you need? Not what do you want. What do you need? And take it one day at a time, one moment at a time. And honestly, slow is the way to go. Take your time because you have all the time in the world. I know people will say, you could die tomorrow. Yes, but also do you want to spend the entire day rushing and looking like SpongeBob, the SpongeBob meme when he's in the brain and everything is burning? Nah, take your time. Take your time. Everything will be there. Everything. Yeah.
That was good. That was good. To the point. Bing, bang. Okay, we have arrived at our final question of the hour. Has nothing to do with high school. It's about now. And so, what are 3 self-care practices that you do now to help you to center or to regulate yourself?
Mm. I learned a technique that, funny enough, all right, this is the perfect time to bring it up. So a lot of people are like, you have to breathe in all day to breathe out. Forget that. If you're like me and everything is like this all the time, dig deeper in that. Squish yourself so hard for 8 seconds and then let it go. And do that with every part of your body. And I guarantee you, whatever tension, whatever, because my anxiety is always in my stomach and in my shoulders. Go like this when I'm nervous. All right, my stomach feels like this. Yeah. Scrunch it up for 8 seconds. Scrunch it up with all the energy and the power that you have. And then let it go. Organic release. That's one thing I love to do. Centering myself. Sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Sometimes those thoughts, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe in the 5th grade I said that. Yet, time to go to bed. It's time to go to bed. It's definitely time. Sleep is so important, especially even if like you have a mental illness or not, it will impact your mood. I actually found out a crazy fact that people that get under 7 hours of sleep, you increase your chance of getting Alzheimer's. I was like, wow. And they said that it impacts it because it impacts your memory. I was like, I'm like, oh wow. So sleep. And the last thing I do is I talk with people that I love, even if it's just through text or, I love to go on like IG Live and just check in with people, but talking to people. There are times when you feel so sad or so angry. You're like, I don't want to talk to anybody. That is the perfect time for you to go talk to somebody. Don't isolate yourself. That's one of the things I've learned that makes me feel good, to the point where I end up just vomiting out words to all of my friends. They're like, dang, girl. I'm like, yeah, that was the day. It always feels not just also just like trauma bombing on people either. If you like to trauma bomb, get yourself a therapist or even get yourself a wonderful journal. It's not bad. Sometimes you got to put the trauma somewhere. So get the journal, get the therapist, see if you can get both. It's really great. But just talking about anything, because even then that's like a technique for a lot of people. For example, if you're in a distressing situation, people to distract you, people will talk to you because it's going to lower your heart rate. When you're feeling really weird, you keep it inside. There's a book that's called The Body Keeps Score. Your body remembers all of that. Get it out of you, whatever you're feeling. And if you're not a dancer, you don't like to walk, talk to somebody, because talking about it, I guarantee you, even then, I think I said chronic pain illnesses, they say that a lot of it links to like prior trauma because your body remembers it and your body's trying to keep you safe. So it's putting all these pain cues because it's still working through something. So when you talk about it, the expression of it's like a weight lifted off your shoulders, it's actually the truth. You might have just saved yourself a couple of years on this planet just by talking. So yeah, those are my 3. Long explanation, but yeah.
I love it. This is a great conversation. This was amazing. It's funny, as a teacher, you see your kids for a finite amount of time, and then they go off, and then some you stay connected to, and some like, you never hear from again. It's really nice to like keep track of, especially the ones that you spent so much time and energy with, and not even like on, but just, I always look at shows and dance concerts and stuff as it's a collaborative process. It's a creative process. We're all spending so much time in the same space trying to do something, great And then when that person's not there anymore, and you have to do it with other people, and that's the nature of the beast, but you're like, wow, there's like a little bit of a hole left because that person is not going to be there anymore. So it's really nice to come back and reminiscing, yes, but just to see where that energy went. Like, what is it going to now that is going to continue to make an impact on the world?
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be able to learn the impact that you're making and continue to connect with this as your star rises. And we get to 2 million views and a platinum album someday. And
It's coming. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for
I
being you.
feel like I needed this. It was funny. I talk so much about college, and then when you think about high school, you're like, if you thought you went through changes, you surely went through changes. And I always bring up your name, and I always bring up Mr. Perez. It's just being like, there's a lot of people that poured into me into this craft. So like, when I'm just like, I learned a lot. No, I learned a crap ton. Like people are like, oh wow, like where'd you train? Spring Valley High School, baby. Navajo Central School District. That's where I learned. That's where the chops were grown. Some people are like, oh really? You didn't have a vocal coach? No, baby. I have a vocal coach as an adult now. And even then, he's looking at me like, do you want to teach lessons? I mean, you could. I'm like, oh, I mean, I'll think about it. But really, no, I bring up your name constantly because you challenged me in a way that was like, didn't think about it. And you empowered me and you encouraged me from day one. You and Mr. Perez in my ear being like, you should probably take this seriously. And even then, I will never forget you being like, sending me money for cocoa. I will never, ever, ever, ever forget that. When people are like, wow, so you post music on, yeah, there's a couple of people, if it wasn't for them being like, if that's what you need, I'll give it. No, like I don't know. I don't even just without thespians, I don't know if I'd have the courage to just grace stages, come on there, kill it, and walk off like it was nothing. That's because of you, and that's because of him, Mr. Perez. So Brianna Knight would not be this wonderful vocalist, this wonderful person without y'all. Art educators are 100% needed and necessary because I'm living proof of it. So
Thank you. And keep rising. Keep taking up your space. Just suck up all the oxygen. You glow brighter than everybody else, and then take everybody with you and teach those little girls exactly what they need to know.
thank you.
Teach
Thank
those
you.
little girls. Well, so you can find Brianna Knight on Instagram and on TikTok on @poetdreaming, and I'll put that at the bottom of the screen. Visit my blog at stacytiro.com to read a little bit more in depth about this incredible person and this amazing conversation. And let's let the world know about Brianna Knight. It's time, baby. It's time. Great. Well, thank you, Brianna. You've graced my Zoom and my YouTube channel. And join us next week for a new installment of course, I just forgot the stupid name. I like the oh my God. What the heck is the name of my own podcast? I don't know. Wait, like literally, like this is the 50-year-old brain going, you're done, you're tired, and it's time to sleep now. I'm gonna try that again because now I have it. So join us for a new installment next week of Change for the Better, the Power of Arts in Education. Thank you, Brianna.
Thank you. Bye.